Hi, Michelle Loda here with Yoda Group at Luminate Home Loans. And today we are so lucky. We have Matt Bomeyer with Cornerstone Creative, and we are going to learn all about branding and how to grow your business. So
That's
Matt,
right.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Michelle. I appreciate you bringing me along.
Yeah, people need to hear about this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Yeah. So tell, one of the things I know people always wonder is, how did you get into this business? Like, who grows up and thinks, oh, I want to help people build a brand when they get older? And maybe you did, but how did you find yourself where you're at today?
Yeah, well, you think of old school stuff, and, I might be dating myself, but, watching Bewitched and Darren Stevens with his old school presentations, we bring in the art boards and all that. And I was always into the creative side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to school for journalism to be a writer, and that morphed into advertising. I just thought, the business side of it seemed really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, I studied some graphic design, and then I studied some journalism, and I thought, how do I create something out of these two areas of study? And it became advertising. So I started, my first job out of college was at an ad agency here in Denver. It's no longer in business, but, worked there for 5 years, and then I started my own business with two partners.
So kind of learn the ropes. And
yeah,
then
learn the ropes.
Figured out how to do it better or how to do it your way.
At least I thought I could do it better. And
Yeah.
you just, School of Hard Knocks, you learn along the way. And
Yeah.
we did it for 10 years and sold our business and the building we had. And it was a very traditional agency. We did a lot of product packaging and graphic design, advertising, television, radio, print. So
a
very
lot of old school stuff too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the times have changed, and it's changed rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So after working with other people for a while, in still in the same on the agency side, I had an opportunity to do a consulting project and get back into really that one-on-one, my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of morphed into Cornerstone Creative. So I started that.
So, a lot of people, I hear all the time, you need a brand, build a brand, you need content, good content. So when somebody hears that, I think sometimes we hear it so often, we don't really necessarily know exactly what that means. What does it mean to build a brand, to have good content, and why do you need it? Why is that important?
Sure. So one of the things that I like to tell people, first and foremost about branding, why it's critical to build a brand, not only just to differentiate yourself and, artists need jobs too, to, design logos and those kind of things. But really it all but eliminates the need to compete on price. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a brand, you're not recognizable. There's no difference between you and your competition other than your pricing. So you commoditize your business, no matter what business you're in. And it's really a race to the bottom, who can be cheapest. Mm-hmm. When you invest in branding and marketing and all those sorts of strategies, search engine optimization, social media, a good website, a strong brand and a logo, a color palette, fonts, and you do it consistently and create content in a consistent manner that speaks to your brand, then you don't have to really compete on price as much, because people are starting to recognize you in your marketplace. And you can be very specific, you can be local, or you can grow to nationally. It just all depends on your business. But there is an important part of that where you can differentiate from your competition.
Yeah, because like in our industry, in lending or even real estate or financial services, if you're just kind of under the company, let's say that you might lend through, or, a big national company like a Remax or, Keller or whatever it may be, you're just kind of you're a dime a dozen, right? You're just another person within that company. So like, to me, it's really important that people know why we're different and why would you want to work with us and what makes us different. So in creating content, do you typically, do you do that yourself? Do you get input from the client? How do you come up with content for a business that maybe you're not in, right?
Sure. So it's a combination of that. And it really depends on the client, what types of resources they have. I work with some businesses that have a whole marketing team, and they just need expertise from an agency to support that team and to create the content and deliver it. Some clients don't have that. They don't have time. I'm working with the owner, and maybe it's a small business, and they're really deep into the details of running that company, and they don't have time to be writing content. So we become experts, and I have copywriters and PR people and SEO strategists, and we create that content. And what content is, it's really what your audience will consume. So it can be an image, a video, like we're doing here. It can be written content, blog posts, Instagram posts, social media. So it all ties together, and the website's usually the hub of that. So you have to have a good website, well optimized, but also using those other channels, and they all work together.
Kind of work
these days.
together.
Yeah.
And you it's good to have a little bit of everything, and it's because different things hit different people, right?
Right.
And so, like we try to do video,
Mhm.
we do a lot of just content pieces, like just images, like you said, or blogs. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's a lot of work. Like to do it myself, it's good to have someone that can
Yeah.
help and actually do those things for us or with us, just so that we're making sure we're keeping everything moving. We still have to close loans.
Yeah, of
We're
course.
not an advertising agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's probably most of your client. And so in terms of I know one of the things you and I've talked about is
Mhm.
that you have a real value add because your company, the way you're structured, tell us a little bit about your scalability and how you can work with all types of clients and how you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say we're a distributed agency, and we were remote before it was cool or mandated, before COVID happened.
It's not that cool, no.
I know.
But it is cool.
So now, you can work in your pajamas. But
Right.
so my original company that I started with two college friends back in the 90s, and the one we sold that I referred to earlier, very traditional. We owned a building. We had the dogs running around, the basketball hoop, foosball table, you name it. It was fun. It was great. And it cost a lot of money to keep the lights on.
Mhm.
When I had an opportunity to start things up again, I thought more about how to deliver value to clients rather than doing all the things. And that's kind of that when we talked about, the school of hard knocks and learning how to run a business, you think you go into it. So that book, The E-Myth, where you I can do it better than the boss. So we started this agency, and then you learn I'm actually not doing the agency work. I'm managing people and a building and billing clients and talking to lawyers and those kind of things. So this gave me an opportunity this time around to be a distributed agency. And what that means is I have access to talent all over the world. People I've worked with throughout my career the last 2.5 decades, where I can scale any project. So if it's a small budget, that's not a problem. So because I don't have a ton of overhead or a building to keep the lights on, I work from home. All of my partners also work remotely. So I can bring in specific people for a project to meet that need. And the other benefit to that is that they're opting in. So they're hand raisers. So I'll present a couple of copywriters. Hey, here's a project. They say, yes, I'm in. Whereas at a traditional bricks and mortar agency, there's a staff, and you got to keep those people occupied. So it doesn't matter what their skill set is usually, or what their interests are. It's they're assigned to it. So I feel like my projects are more fueled by passion because people are opting in. My team opts in.
Right.
And it could be a small team of 1 or 2, or I can have I built 7-figure websites with a huge team. It just depends on the project. So that's where I can differentiate and bring some value.
So Matt, do you have certain clients that you've worked with for a long time? Like they keep you around, or you're on contract or whatever, and it's like a continual thing? Or is it usually just an upfront, get us all set up and we'll do our thing? Or is it both?
It is absolutely both.
Okay.
And it really depends. I mean, the best engagements and where we have the best results are certainly those long-term engagements because they're invested in their business and their marketing. But oftentimes, we'll start a rebrand project where we'll do the branding work and the design work and create that brand and then build a website. And sometimes they want to leave the nest, and we allow them to do that, whether they have somebody internally to do it and we just turn the keys over, or they may feel that that's enough. But what we usually recommend is that we do some sort of ongoing contract, and that could be just as simple as website maintenance and adding content on a monthly basis to the website and the key social media channels for that business, or it can be a little bit deeper engagement where we're talking online advertising, and whether it's television, there's people still who do advertise on TV and radio. There is still print advertising. So we do all of that. So those engagements are important, and that's usually talked through at the beginning. We have a strategy session once we decide to work together, and then we'll build that program out. Usually, for 18 months is usually what we like to look at in terms of engagement.
Yeah, so you can get the result. It doesn't happen right away, right?
No,
It takes
absolutely.
time.
Yeah, especially online.
Yeah.
With Google, you think, oh, okay, I started SEO, but no, it takes months.
Yeah.
90
So it kind
days.
of it's intuitive, right? It kind of, I've heard Google learns what people like that you're doing, and then gives them more of that. Or
yeah, there's certain
sort of
criteria that I don't want to get too nerdy and
Yeah.
dive into the weeds about SEO, but yeah, certainly Google They do like good content. They like fresh content. They like that you're linking to reputable websites. They just want to make sure that your website is secure and you're offering good content and you're not a spammer. So their bots are continually crawling, but their algorithms change really on a very regular basis. So that's,
so annoying.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's part art, part
Every time
science.
you figure it out, right? They kind
Yeah.
of switch it up on you.
Yeah, that's where you really need to rely on an expert, or
Yeah,
unless
because you guys
have
are doing
someone-
this all day long. We're
right.
not.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Google is constantly recertifying their partners. You know, if you're a Google partner, you still have to do certifications and just learn all there is to learn. And it's very nuanced. So that's why I bring that team on board.
Sure, that makes sense. And then if somebody is interested in learning more about like how do I build a brand or how do I make my brand better and any of these things, how would they contract you? Is there like a meeting first, or do they have to pay a fee to meet with you, or does that look like?
No, typically we'll do a phone call. Well, during COVID times, obviously we were doing Zooms, but we're meeting in person now. So ideally we'd meet in person and just have a conversation. What are the goals? Talk about where you are right now. Where do you want to get to? Let's talk about your business. It's very important for me to learn about the business, kind of some of the financial aspects of it. Like, oh, we want to double our sales. Like, where are you now? Where do you want to get to be and how long? And then what does that look like from an investment standpoint? And then I will put a program together, recommendations. Usually how I do it, it'll be almost like an a la carte menu. Like, hey, here's all the things we talked about. Here's some other things you may want to consider. These are the costs. This is what I'd recommend for a term. And then we'll just talk back and forth. So it's not a take it or leave it. That's all part of the process in terms of fees. I don't charge for any of that upfront proposal development or any of that. And if we continue and then decide to work together, then absolutely we would get into the contract, and I have some flexibility there based on that distributed model we talked about earlier.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I can be flexible in terms of how we structure deals.
Right. So, I mean, sometimes when things get slow, people stop advertising. They actually do the opposite of what they should do. I've always learned and grew up, my mom actually owned hair salons. That's what she did. And she would say, listen, when it gets slow, you advertise more because people, and of course for her it was advertising because it's a product. You send out coupons, old school.
Yeah.
For us, we're not selling a product and it's not coupons, but we want to be top of mind. So do you ever have to convince your clients, like, listen, I know it's slowed down. This is the best time to get out there and get in front of that, get in front of your people and...
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, like you were saying, the best way to gain market share is during a down economy. When your competitors are not, that's where you can leapfrog them. Certainly it's scary because, the money may not be coming in, but it's absolutely worth it because that it is true. So yeah, I recommend that as well, is that you continue your programs and, we can talk about scale and, to what degree, but just stopping and shutting it down is never a good idea. Yeah.
Bad idea. Okay, well, cool. Thanks so much for coming in, Matt.
Yeah,
this was really great.
Thanks for having
me. If you have
me.
any questions about branding, content, if you're doing the right thing, you could be doing more, SEO, all of it. Matt Baumeier is a professional. He's very experienced and he's good at what he does. So Cornerstone Creative, give him a call. We'll put his info below here on the video. And as always, if you have a question regarding lending, we'd love to help you. Michelle Otto, the Otto Group, Luminate Home Loans. Give us a call.